Several opposition parties have also reacted to the new boundaries. The Workers' Party says there's finally clarity on this matter. It also noted that the review committee, as is its custom, has not disclosed how it came to its decisions. For instance, the party questions why 3 SMCs, Sengkang West, Fengshan and Punggol East, have been dissolved in areas where it says it has been active for many years. Now, at the same time, the WP says it will decide on the areas where it can best serve Singaporeans.
The Progress Singapore party says it welcomes the release of the report, finally after taking 8 months, and it's prepared for the general election. But it adds that with more than a year to go before reaching the constitutional time limit for the GE, fighting COVID-19 should be a key priority.
Well, the Singapore People's Party says holding an election during the coronavirus outbreak would be, quote, most irresponsible. It adds, this is not the time for partisan politics, but for national unity. It says it's confident the government will not risk exacerbating the outbreak by calling a general election before the situation has stabilized.
Well, back to Eugene now. And Eugene, we just heard some reaction from opposition parties there. PSP saying fighting COVID, that should be the key priority now. SPP also saying, I'm quoting them here, they said it would be most irresponsible to hold the election during the pandemic. Some pretty strong reactions there.
No, I think it's not to be unexpected. I think, these are the concerns that many Singaporeans would have. When you look at the global pandemic, the cases have surged. In Singapore, we are also now consistently seeing double-digit. And so I think these are legitimate concerns, and I'm sure in the days ahead, we will be hearing more from the government, as to why we need to have a general election even in the midst of a global pandemic. And also, considering that we still have about a year in terms of when the constitutional time limit would run out for a general election to be held. So we can be sure that there will be safeguards that will be put in place, and certainly that will result in a very qualitatively different general election. Think about perhaps much smaller size rallies, or even no rallies at all, but that these rallies will have to be done virtually, online. So I think we have to wait to see what are the rules that will be set in place, and I think there will be concern about whether the framework will enable parties to be able to put their best case forward. But again, we are in unusual times.
Like you said, unusual times there. Does that sort of impact the government's decision on timing of a GE? How would that play into the incumbents, you think?
Well, I think the government has already indicated earlier this week, that they are considering a second economic stimulus package. I think there is a sense that there will be a massive package, if I can put it that way, with President Halimah Yacob indicating that, in principle, the drawdown reserves, would be justified in this very unusual times. So I think that the ruling party will certainly make the case, that in this very challenging period that Singapore and many other countries are going through, there is a need for the government to secure a strong mandate from the people. But I think that certainly doesn't quite answer, the concerns that Singaporeans and some of the opposition parties have, which is, is there really the imperative, the urgency to have the general election at this point in time? Particularly when I don't think Singaporeans would have difficulty, with a second economic stimulus package. So I think, that there will be the concerns, over the impact that a general election could have on the COVID-19 outbreak situation in Singapore, and whether, this general election, because there will be safeguards put in place, how will that affect, the nature of the election?
Eugene, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for those insights. We've been speaking there with Eugene Tan, Associate Professor of Law at Singapore Management University.